Welcome back to Gary Grigsby's War in the East 2. Another turn is in the books, and it is currently August 3rd, 1941. And during this week, Axis forces have been rather busy, but we will start with a tour of the front lines as usual. Beginning with the first of many breakthroughs, a composition of mixed Axis forces struck the center of my southern front. This is a move I did fear would happen, and it now puts my entire southern front into disarray. The decision with how to defend Crimea has now been made for me, with a lot of those rifle divisions now being forced into a southern retreat that will have no choice but to enter that region. The situation in Kiev remains the same. German forces continue to push towards the Dnepr River, as the Russian soldiers provide zero opposition. It's to the northwest where my fears become proven true. Spending the better part of the last month wondering what he had in the Pripyat marsh area, I have now got to see a glimpse of what that actually is. With these fresh units striking towards Kiev from the north, this has allowed every unit in the Gamel area to strike forward. Following that up with a pincer movement to the south of Smolensk, my entire central line is shattered. This was an extensive operation that took dozens of battles to succeed, so hopefully that limits his ability to move next turn. In the Veliky Luki region, it's mostly just repositioning. He does capture a city west of Smolensk finally. To the southwest of the Valdai Hills, his forces maneuver northward, cutting off a few more divisions. I am expecting the main battle in this region to happen next turn. His northern front continues to move towards Leningrad, capturing the city of Novgorod, while engaging in a few minor skirmishes on a march towards the coastal city of Tallinn. So as the bird's eye perspective of August 3rd comes into focus, it appears to be very similar to the week prior. This illusion, though, does not recognize the fact that of 271 units on the map, 130 of them are in low supply, 16 are isolated, 42 are under strength, 94 unready, and a total of 22 are depleted. There is not much fighting strength in the Russian army as of this moment. This information, plus the 300,000 further losses and 4,600 guns, is proving to me that my opponent has prioritized the bleeding of the Russian army as he leads in towards winter over conquering of cities. And with the 1,800 casualties to the Soviet Air Force, I'm pretty much grounding most operations this week and bringing in fresh units from the reserve front to try to bolster back up to a fighting force. The only real air missions I'm running this week other than ground support is an isolated bombing campaign near Smolensk and 2 recon missions, one of which doesn't go off because after giving the order for recon, I then proceeded to tell the entire air command to rest for the week, thus not giving airplanes for the mission. So at this stage of the turn, I'm only at 14 lost aircraft, but with the ground support missions, specifically the Northwest Air Command, I expect this number to go up. So the plan for this turn is a minor retreat, allowing my units some breathing room so that they can actually replenish with supplies, while at the same time trying to create some type of obstruction. In the coastal city of Tallinn, that's going to come via a fortress. It's going to take half my admin points. This is in the hopes that he didn't bring enough units up here to really take a city that way. And the 1 rifle division is going to fall back. This is the area that I wanted to recon. I failed to because I grounded the forces, so I am surprised to find an infantry division. The rest of the Leningrad front represents a problem. Being unable to focus on just a straight line because of the Narga River, even with the fortifications I built there, I'm not 100% sure I have enough units to defend this area, but I still can't not utilize this defensive terrain. What I am disappointed in is my lack of the ability of getting engineers to this pretty much anywhere on the front fast enough, so a lot of my fortification areas are still way too low. I do have to remind myself it is only turn 7, but I'm also, in the back of my mind, fairly aware that a better Soviet player would probably have that set up and in position by now. Either way, what I have been able to succeed in this past week is the utilization of the reserve front. So the units that you see that have the dark brown hue are actually not in the Leningrad front, and they did get a decent amount of supplies. So hopefully that continues. The rest of this area is just a matter of defending the river and falling back into the heavy woods, along with deciding where to move the 2 new units that I did happen to bring here. With being pushed 90 miles north of Peskov, I am satisfied with this layered defense. The Smolensk area introduces a whole new set of challenges. With how much open terrain I have to work with, I have no choice but to give up a little bit more ground than I'm happy to. What it does give me the ability to do is to actually set up along this forest and a little bit of the swamp and still keep people inside of Smolensk. So it should make it to where next turn, even though I'll probably get them cut off, but he won't actually take the city on his turn 8. It also gives me a lot more units to move east and southeast of Smolensk as much as I can to try to replenish the completely devastated Western Front. The only thing to benefit me in this area for right now is his limited amount of armor. He's applied them obviously to more important areas of the front, but his infantry won't be able to make it because Orel and Kursk are completely wide open right now. Kiev is in the process of being completely abandoned. I'm going to fall back into the swamps and try to figure out something to do with this region in the next turn or two. Assuming a lot of it's going towards Kursk, not Kursk, Kharkov. But for the most part, this date does represent a catastrophe. The Dnepr River along most of the western regions of the front line have been crossed and conquered. In the south, little stands in the way to prevent the conquest of Dnepropetrovsk, and it's yet to be seen what forces are able to provide any defense for Kharkov, Kursk, or Orel. And I'm going to have to rely on Russia's greatest strength, its sheer amount of land, in the hopes that the German forces don't have enough men to cover it, or the ability to provide enough supply to them. But that'll be a problem for my opponent to solve.